Yes, hello there. This is me again, and I'm back here with another book review. This one in particular goes out to my one Canadian viewer, Logan, or the real Zelda master of Minecraft, or a whole bunch of other names that are so long and complex that I can't even be bothered to remember them. No offense, it's just that, you know. Anyway, so uh, today's review is not of one book, but of a trilogy of books that are not too well known, I should say, in most literary circles, but still do have merit in my eyes, and I think everybody should read. So I suppose I'll get into it now. Now, the reason why I mentioned Logan is because typically in the arts, I believe it's widely known that Canada has been rebuked rather savagely with its, I suppose, contributions to that field, be it, I don't know, film, animation, I don't know, just a whole bunch of different forms of media, and they seem to be written off as rather cheap and sort of substandard. I'm here to prove the majority wrong, because I have here a set of books by somebody who has of late become my new favorite author. And I just informed Logan in a stream that he had earlier today of this author. And the author is Robertson Davies, and the trilogy is the Salterton trilogy, which consists of the volumes Tempesttost, or Tost, however you say it, Leaven of Malice, and A Mixture of Frailties. Now, these novels, right here, don't necessarily have to be read in order, but it helps, certainly. And I suppose I'll get right into it, shall I? So, these three novels here all revolve around the inhabitants of a fictional Canadian town known as Salterton, and it has to deal with all of their lives and such, and you get an introspective into each one, some more than others, but and then there's certain characters that recur throughout novels and such, and either way, I'll talk about each novel now, and sort of tell you my thoughts and such. So anyway, move these two out of the way and discuss Tempesttost, or Tost. This is the first novel, I believe, that Robertson Davies ever published. He published it, I believe, in 1951. Yes, 1951. And let me get my glasses here so I can more easily discuss these. And basically, one of the major themes throughout the whole of the trilogy is the theatre. And this novel, I suppose, is the best example of that, because this novel concerns, I suppose, a production crew at Waverley University, the fictitious university in Salterton, who intend to put on a production of Shakespeare's The Tempest. And, it rather funnily discusses, or humorously rather, puts forth as it says, an amusing look at loves, intrigues, and fantasies behind the footlights. You get all of that portrayed rather humorously by Davies, and in the midst of it, you also have the main story following, I suppose, a sort of love triangle between one Solomon Bridgetower, son of Louisa Hanson Bridgetower, who happens to be the wife of a then dead university professor. And also, it's between him and Hector McElwraith, a school teacher of mathematics. And they intend to win the hand of one Griselda Webster, because they both have interests in her, I suppose. And, that's all I'm going to say for this one. I found this book to be rather enjoyable, very funny. I myself am a former theatre performer, although I did not have as gay a time as these people have had in this novel, sad to say. But I enjoyed it very much, and this one I give my highest recommendation. So that's the first novel, Tempesttost, in the Salterton Trilogy. Second novel came out a couple years later, called Leaven of Malice. This one came out in 1954, and it involves, it has to do with, I suppose, a false engagement notice that's published in the local newspaper, the Bellman, which alludes to Solomon Bridgetower and Pearl Veronica Van Brace, who is daughter of Professor Van Brace, Professor Walter Van Brace, who has feuded with Solomon's father in the past, and frankly wants nothing more to do with the Bridgetower family. So essentially, this news clipping, this engagement notice, is noticed by them, and they sue the editor, Gloucester Ridley, for libel, and want to get to the bottom of this. And it's sort of a little bit of a mystery novel in a sense, because you're trying to figure out who did this, who had published the false article, and you're always kept on your toes in that respect. Very humorous, as I said again, and well worth reading. I myself was a newspaper man in my day, and I very much enjoyed this. About the recurring theme of the arts in this trilogy, the only real thing in here is that there is somebody working on the paper who happens to want to write the great Canadian novel. But I suppose I can't quite remember if he succeeds or not, but either way. Leaven of Malice I very much enjoyed as well, and I give that my highest recommendation. Okay, now for the final book in the Salterton Trilogy, which may very well be the best book in the Salterton Trilogy. And I just finished reading this a few moments ago, so I'm going to speak much more about it than these two, because to tell the truth, I read these two like last year, months ago, so my memory is a bit hazy on them. But either way, let's get on to it. A Mixture of Frailties. Again, we follow Solomon Bridgetower, who has then, this isn't really a spoiler, who has then married Veronica Van Brace, and they're getting on just fine. But at the very beginning of the novel, Solomon's mother, Louisa Hanson Van Brace, dies. And I suppose in her will, she sets up a trust for a young pupil of much promise to study abroad on her money, and she gives Solomon nothing. That is, of course, unless he happens to have a son, or a sire, a son rather, and then the trust will be broken. So, basically, I'm saying a lot, aren't I? The pupil who they choose to send abroad is one Monica Gall, I believe. I believe that's how you pronounce it. Who has sung at her service, at her funeral service, and basically she is shipped off to England from Canada, and this whole novel basically covers her time spent there in the field of the arts, being coached by various voice coaches and traveling all about Europe and such. And really, you see very little of Salterton, but the little you do see of it, you will cherish. And this was also a very humorous novel as well. Davies, I find, is one of those few novelists who can write both with sophistication and humour, and do it so with such an even balance that no other writer can possibly conceive of. But yeah, this is easily the best of the trilogy, in my opinion, because its scope is much wider, and I suppose it's come full circle, this whole trilogy, because the theatre is brought up quite a bit in this book, and she, since she's in the field of the arts, ends up performing in a whole bunch of venues and everything, and you get to learn a whole lot about what it's like, really, to become a professional, well, not professional, but I suppose just singer. And this one I give my highest recommendation as well. So, there we have it. We have the Salterton Trilogy by Robertson Davies. Right there, Tempesttost, Leaven of Malice, and Mixture of Frailties. Easily one of probably my new favourite author, and I highly recommend this trilogy to anybody who has read it. I must say, though, it is not my favourite stuff written by Davies, because I have read much more than just the Salterton Trilogy, and we will discuss those in due time. I suppose one more word on Robertson Davies is that I heard somebody say, I forget where they said it, but somebody had said that he's like a Canadian Harper Lee in the way he describes small town Canada and such. I think he's a far better writer than Harper Lee, and he is obviously much more prolific. But either way, that's my stint on Davies. I hope you pick him up, read him, enjoy him, and like I said, this video goes out to you, Logan. If you have not read Robertson Davies before, this would be a good place to start. So thank you very much, and I suppose I shall see you Sunday, because I do plan to do another live stream, if you haven't already noticed, which will take place this Sunday, the 8th of March at 5 p.m. This is mainly for the ones who missed out on the previous one, such as Logan, Milkmers, Marcus, Michael Keller, Avery, Maisie, all those people. But any of you, such as Ahab or Goontick, who've seen the previous one and just can't get enough of me, want to pop in, go ahead. Either way, that's all I have to say, and yeah, I suppose I'll see you later. Bye.